you guys have been getting all the touch grass videos from me, man. Honestly, it's been really nice weather lately, to the point where I'm like, why would I make a video in the room when I can just make a video outside? So I found me a nice little stub here to sit down while we talk about this insane grain of salt news. Take it with a grain of salt, because this is unbelievably early for like what I could gather. There's not been a real verifiable source. It's more so been like reliable inside leaker people who are known for leaking credible stuff, talking about there's been rumors that Riot is working on a Genshin Impact open world IP. Obviously, when you consider that they've been working on an MMO for Riot or for League of Legends for like the last 10 years, and now there's talks of it being canceled, then there's talks of it not being canceled. There's also an FPS that they're working on. Now, the latest rumor is that Riot might be making a gacha game. And we all know the IP that Riot would be using would be League of Legends. And I want to explore this conversation, and I want to talk about some of the pros and cons of it, because I know there's a lot of people who are going to be Doom posting. There's just, inherently, League has an unbelievable amount of Doom posters. It does, bro. Like, people be hating on League just to be hating on it. Some of them have a toxic relationship with it because they played it for 8 years and never got out of the bronze tier. Other people played it and they sucked at it because it's such a skill-based game, and so they just hate it for that. And then other people hate it because it was an amazing game in the beginning that had such an incredible monetary model. And then they lived long enough to see themselves become a villain and started doing all this crazy like microtransaction and loot boxes in their game, to the point where people felt like it was no longer the League of Legends they fell in love with. But regardless, I do think there's a lot to talk about with League potentially becoming an open world gacha game. Now, I do see people going, bro, we're tired of the open world gacha games. I'm one of them. I just made a video about that not too long ago. I do see people talking about how they're tired of Genshin Impact clones and so on and so forth. I completely agree with that as well. But I do think on the other end, and this is not necessarily a devil's advocate point of view, it's just more so pointing out why I think League would work. The amount of groundwork that has already been laid with that IP is insane. When you consider like Genshin and Wuwa, as successful as they are, it's not like they had IPs that had 10 years of groundwork laid, with characters being developed already, with world building and lore being expanded upon already. They kind of just like, laid some groundwork prior to the game's release and then built it from there on out to like become like something that's a bit more actualized, if that makes sense. Whereas with League, they have been building lore and world building for like 20 years. You know what I mean? And so if they were to actually create this, and that's why people were so excited for the MMO, by the way. They're excited for the MMO because so much has already been done, and people now just want to see that translated inside of an open world game to where they can consume that lore and story and kind of visualize it with a much more, better appeal, as opposed to just seeing some crazy cinematic one time every 2 or 3 years, right? That's the exciting thing about people wanting a League MMO. But unfortunately, in today's gaming climate, dude, MMOs just don't work today. A lot of people ain't got time to be playing a game for 12 hours a day, dude, especially the working adult. And in 2026, the working adult is more of a gamer than kids are these days, because millennials, we are the gamer. We're the gamer, the unks. We're unks now. We used to be the kids, now we're the unks. But like, that's why, say what you will about gacha games, that's why they work, and they are continuing to grow and expand. Now the space is fragmenting, but it is growing. And the reason it's growing is because it's so accessible to the kid, to the adult, to the older person. You can play it for 15 minutes or you can play it for 2 hours. Even though the 2 hours, some would say, is a bit of a waste of time, a lot of people do that. And so when we turn back around and we consider League of Legends becoming a gacha game, they already have the characters. They have a plethora of characters, and let me mind you, it ain't just big titty waifus and stuff. It's male giga chads. It's just overall really creative designs, and I think that would be good. I think that would be not only inviting in not just waifu collectors, but all walks of people. And the IP is so massive worldwide that it would inevitably bring in so many more people into the gacha space, for better or for worse. Let's be honest, boys. League is in the talks for one of the most toxic communities known to mankind. These Kurobots and Hoyo shills would not know what hit them if that ends up happening, bro. They would meet their maker in that regard. Dude, that's what I mean. The fact that this IP could be a thing is unbelievably entertaining, because what would happen is, for better or for worse, the space would have so much more entertainment, friction, popularity, and growth if this IP were to hit it. But, you know, my brain's all over the place. I'm just thinking about all the amount of possibilities that could happen, bro. I'm thinking about from a drama standpoint, from a fandom standpoint, from a hype standpoint. Good Lord. Can you imagine like League of Legends drip marketing? Like they reveal somebody like Yasuo as the next character that you could get? It would be insane. It would literally, how many people would pull on Yasuo as a male character? A lot of people would. Katarina, in terms of like Goonerbait, or Ari. Jeez, bro, look, y'all could talk all this shit y'all want to talk about League. I would be the first person in line to try that game, and so would you. You get any League hater you want. I guarantee you they're going to try that game out because it's free. It's completely free to play, and most people would play League of Legends. That's okay, hon. Most people would play League of Legends literally for the world building and lore. I'll be honest, I can tell you so many people that wouldn't spend a dime on that game, but they would keep coming back for updates just to see that story and lore that's finally being actualized inside of an open world with either the Unreal Engine or the Unity engine. And you know, one of the reasons why I think this is even a a credible conversation is because, first of all, Wuthering Waves is an evergreen title for Tencent. 50% ownership is Tencent for Wuthering Waves. And they've seen so much success come out of that title. Not to mention, Tencent has been watching the gacha space and the climate of it, the growth of it for a very long time. They know what Genshin Impact has done as well, which is why they were so quick to invest in WoWa when they saw the game's potential. But Tencent 100% owns Riot. They own Riot entirely. And so it makes sense to me that Tencent would want to create a Riot open world gacha game after they've seen what Wuthering Waves is capable of, after they've seen what Genshin Impact is capable of. They think in their mind, our IP would 1,000,000,000% be able to enter this market and absolutely conquer it. It would be a genuine, I'm not gonna say it'd be it would be a threat to the space. This AAA worldwide phenomenon known as League of Legends, whether you hate it or love it, would enter this space, and so many people would, at the bare minimum, give it a try. Now, I do want to talk about the source, and before you guys go, like, Smack, where are you even getting this from? I'm going to read it off the phone here, and then I'll just edit it in when I get in my house so that you guys can see what I'm reading. But basically, there's an article by a Twitter user by Gaming on Phone. And it says, Riot Games is reportedly working on the next League of Legends title. The company's Shanghai studio is opening multiple roles for an unannounced project currently in development, which is expected to arrive on PC and mobile. The project is believed to be a Hoyo versus Genshin Impact-like experience set in the League of Legends universe, which is quite interesting. This is being positioned as one of Riot Games' next major titles, so curiosity definitely is at its high. And he has a link here at the bottom of the page. And if you go to this link, this is where it kind of like explores on that rumor, and then it provides, you know, very little sources, but it does provide a source. It says, as shared, and that's, you can click on that, by Sarge OP. This is one of the people who is known for leaking. And if you look at this guy's information, it's on his page, it says he's the owner of 404 Leaks, which apparently has gotten many DMCA strikes by companies, which, by the way, although that's bad, but that also like proves this dude definitely be leaking credible stuff. Honestly, insanely based, but insanely dangerous game he's playing there. Regardless, though, it says this project's believed to be a Hoyo vs. Genshin Impact-like experience set in the League of Legends universe. And you can continue reading that article, so on and so forth. But that is the source that's going around. But that's also why I said take it with a massive grain of salt, because that's pretty much the only thing that we have been able to find in terms of the validity of this rumor. They did say that they went to the League website, and there are a bunch of multiple job listings that are being offered. If you continue reading this article, it'll explain that, which kind of adds to a little bit, but that can be for anything. That could be for the MMO that might be ongoing, that could be for the FPS game, or it could be for the Genshin Impact League of Legends game. You know, God knows who. I'm just so fascinated that Riot decided to make a gacha game, but I guess I'm not because of what Riot is today. Riot has so many gacha aspects inside of League of Legends and TFT. All those goddamn loot boxes, you pretty much are gacha pulling on trying to get a skin in TFT or League. Like, I can see so many like translatable aspects, you know what I mean? And I will start walking back here. But basically, I'm more excited about not gacha. Who cares about gacha? League's music, League's characters, right? Like, dude, just seeing so many of the people I play in that game become a character, but become a story with that Unreal Engine in Unity, or that beautiful graphic fidelity that gacha games with the AAA investments are known for having, right? The Genshin Impacts, the Wuwas, the Arknights, Infields. I would love to see Gangplank in, that pirate ship popping up and then exploring the viciousness of Gangplank, because he's a villain inside of the lore, a real goddamn villain, one of my favorite things. But then you've got my boy Graves with Twisted Fate and their little dynamic, you know what I mean? Like, bro, I read so much League of Legends lore over the years that I would be so excited just to play that game. Fuck the gacha aspect, but to see that shit, man. And that's, like I said, that's why so many people were excited about the MMO, man. All right, I'm geeking out. I'm geeking out and I'm talking y'all's ears off. Point remains, you can say what you will, bro, but if that IP entered the gacha space, it would be chaotic. It would be even more tribalism. It would be even more of a shit show, but it would also be incredibly entertaining, exciting, and so many more eyes would be on this. It would be a net positive. I'm gonna be real, bro. There would be a lot of bullshit to deal with, but it would be a net positive for the space. That's gonna wrap up all my thoughts. My ADHD is spazzing out right now. I don't really have much to talk about, but I just kind of wanted to share that to bring it to y'all's attention, because I'm sure many people are going to say what they want to say. You're going to have your gacha haters, which rightfully so, right? The genre is a shit show in so many different ways. Saying, yeah, no, we don't need this, we don't need that. But like I said earlier, you could say all that, but if that title launched, every single one of you motherfuckers would be playing it, me included. So shut the fuck up, bro. Who cares? You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it's a free-to-play game. You play that hoe, you don't like it, you move on. I think that game would actually be a smashing hit in this space. And that's coming from one of the biggest gacha haters of all time that's been milking this space for the last going on 3 years. All right, man. Anyways, that'll wrap it up, bro. Comment down below. Let me know what y'all think. Peace, love, and happiness. And I'll catch you on the flip side.